your full name.
Could you record that for me too?
Yeah, it's recorded.
Okay. Name, Willie the Bam Johnson.
Willie.
Willie, Thebeams.
Okay. T-H-E.
B-A-M-S, like Bam Bam. Used to be Bam Bam when he used to live here.
Okay, Willie the Bam Jackson.
Yeah.
Jackson or Johnson?
Johnson.
Awesome, thank you. And you just go by Bam?
Say that again.
And you go by Bam?
Well, it used to be back in the day. Most of the people call me Professor Bam.
Professor Bam?
Yeah.
Okay. And for the purpose of today, what would you like to be called?
I mean, if you're going to refer to it in there, you can say the band.
The Bam?
Yeah.
All right, so in your own words, can you just describe your experience with McKim and what McKim means to you?
McKim's. Well, first of all, like I said, it was a place that saved my life. And, growing up in the city of Baltimore, over there in Lafayette Projects, right across the street. As a kid, you got a little dream, just trying to break away from the craziness. And as your journey, you're trying to break away, somebody refers to, man, you need to go check this place out. And the place was called McKim's. And when I came over, we came over, with the idea, them wanting me to teach martial arts. I think I was like 13 or 12 years old, something like that. But I was always teaching myself martial arts up to that point. So I was teaching all the kids in the community. And they said, man, you need to go to McKim's. When I came over, after a couple of no's, we eventually found a man by the name of Kenneth Parker. And he just changed our life. He allowed us to be kids. He allowed us to run up the walls and flip. He allowed us to make up our martial arts techniques. He never judged us, but he gave us a place to just really creatively express ourselves and learn respect and honor and all that stuff through the expression of, I would call, street martial arts, gymnastics, acrobats, whatever it was, he allowed us to be able to do it. It was funny, he used to teach us yoga. I didn't know nothing about that. All I remember back in the day, he used to make us sit down and burn a little pot. And sometimes the pot would burn, burn up the floor. We would just sit there wondering, what in the world is this? But little did you know that it became one of the most powerful things as I got older, because it allowed me to tap into a more inner being that I didn't know. But McKim saved my life, man. It was the place, regardless of how bad things was going, it was always a place for all of us to come to.
And as you got older, now you're a coach, right? Can you speak a little bit about how you became a coach and how that experience?
Well, it goes back to, I say once again, the childhood. I mean, it's a lot deeper than just saying come and teach martial arts. I mean, it's funny, man. As a kid, just over there, man, just trying to find a way to get out. And you would play both sides of the fence over there in those projects. Either you sell drugs, become a gangster, or you die. And when you get caught up into that for a moment, you always had this place that you would walk by, and it was McKim's. It gave you that moment to escape and get back onto your dreams. And it's funny too, that during that time I would, we as kids growing up in the city, you find out they got candy, money. A lot of times we used to break in McKim's, and Dwight never called the police on us, Sorry, man. You just wanted to be a kid, and you break in there, he knew you broke in there, but he would never call the police on you. He would never yell at you, he would never scream at you. I don't think I ever remember any time Dwight was mean to us. He was assertive and was there to help us and guide us, but I don't think as bad as we were, even when I was selling drugs and I would some kind of way make my way back to the McKim's, he would never say anything about that. He never judged me. you know, all of us over there, Muggsy Bogues, everybody, man, you know, Reggie Williams, everybody. We all grew up in that little projects over there, but we all had this safe place to come to, which was McKim's. I mean, somebody got to have a lot of power to bring together so many different diverse people. You know, I mean, you got McKim's taking people to the, you know, to the community center, not the community center, but the school and the gymnasium. And on one side you got basketball, one side you got wrestling, one side you got karate. And for me, you know, during that time, nobody really understood karate. They used to tease me and call me Black Bruce Lee and, you know, make fun of me. But McKim's never made fun of me. You know, in that one little hug, I mean, think about it. These were bad guys, good guys, superstars. I mean, they were some of the greatest people you could ever meet. But in that one little hug, McKim's gave us a place to love one another. There was never no conflict. Even though they might not understood the karate, we were probably Joan, but it was never disrespectful. It was never, the truth of the matter is, it was never the respect that you see people having today. I mean, we just respected each other. You know, you showed your skill set by what you did, not by what you said. You know, and I mean, think about it. How can a man have that sort of power, you know? How can a man gather that much talent? Because everybody was good. I would never say I was the best. I was among great people in that community. And I mean, man, we would practice and train. I'm talking for hours. Think about it. You know, you talking 2-3 hours. We in there training. And I never understood it, but the white would gather us and, you know, take us to the old folks home and do demonstrations. And for the old people, we didn't know what we were doing, but it was like good as a kid because you got a chance to express yourself and they appreciated what you was doing. But once again, this man never asked for money. This man never treated you like people treat you today. This man never made it seem like he was better than you. This man, you know, even to this moment, man, it's like this man is the same man he is today. And you ask yourself a question, what did it take for a center like this and people like that? Because once again, you can have a building, but it was people in this building that made kids like us always feel like when we were lost, we had a place to come back to. And they always accepted us and always gave us a chance to keep going. And I remember, you know, just once again, nobody understood martial arts, but even though Dwight didn't understand martial arts, he still gave me a place to try to find a way. And I remember I had this crazy idea to open up a center. What did Dwight let me do? He let me open up a little club over there. You know, I had this crazy idea to want to be in movies. I mean, he took a whole summer camp and allowed me everybody to gather around and make a movie, write a script. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but he didn't know what I was doing, but he never told me I couldn't. You know, oh man, sorry, bro.
No, I think this is wonderful. I definitely feel emotion. So the free schooling method of McKim and Coach Dwight really allowing you to express your interest.
It allowed all of us. I mean, dance, martial arts and crafts. I mean, everything. You know, anything that we could imagine, he allowed us to do. Yeah, I mean, and you know, I mean, once again, because I'm a creative person, and I think, you know, I think the beautiful thing is when a place allows you to creatively express yourself, it's like, you know, like waterfall. You just keep going. And I had this crazy idea where I wanted out. I wanted more. So I wanted to get on this bus and go to New York City by myself and compete in a karate tournament. So I used to always like write letters. And I remember writing this one letter about sponsorship. And I sent it to McKim's. And Dwight said, hey, I'll sponsor you. I didn't know what the hell sponsor was. All I knew is that I wanted to get out. And Dwight gave me a little $50 or $60, whatever it may be, and believed in me for me to get on a bus to go to New York City and compete in Madison Square Garden and win my first karate tournament. And, you know, a little kid like me, 17 years old, I wanted out so bad. You know, I couldn't tell him what I was doing, but because I know he probably was like, how one 17-year-old kid gonna go to New York at that time? But, you know, he sponsored me and allowed me to go to New York. And once I got the feel for there was a bigger world, I started realizing that we were so poor, but I couldn't get you karate uniforms. So Dwight used to, there's a lady by the name of Miss Debbie. I would come up with these genius ideas and tell her what I wanted, and she would sew my uniforms for me right here at McKim's Community Center. You know, brother, how could you even pay this center back? You know, if it wasn't for this place, I'd have never been able to go to China. I'd have never been able to win 7 world championships. I'd have never been able to start. I mean, I grew up as a little kid wanting to be like Bruce Lee. One day I get a chance to star in a TV show, ask myself, what Bruce Lee's daughter? That had never happened if it wasn't for McKims. I travel the world and I create forms of martial arts called Point MMA, and I teach the best. I mean, Chuck Lewis, you name it, Wesley Snipes, Billy Blanks, Michael Jai White. But I always tell them if it wasn't for McKims, I wouldn't be who I am right now. I think people don't understand. They look at this city and they think that this city is a bad city, but they don't realize it takes a blueprint like McKims that can change the world. I run a martial arts school. You know, Dwight gave me, when I got locked up, I sent a letter to Dwight, and he sent me a letter back. I still have that letter. You don't know it. I still have that letter, and he said, Bam, when you come home, McKims will find something for you. Since I came home 33 years ago, every year I come back and give to McKims. How could I ever repay that man? I never told him how much I love him, how much I thank him. This ain't got nothing to do with dollars or act. How could I ever repay someone believing in a kid that just wanted out? You know, and now look, I go all over the world and I remind people everything that I represent with martial arts started in the hood of Baltimore at McKims Community Center. The blueprints, the creative expression, the movie parts, everything, even learning how to become a man, started at McKims. You know, when I first started my martial arts school, I was so irresponsible. I used to always leave and, you know, not show up on time and not be responsible. And after 33 years of turning my life around, I always think about how McKims, how Dwight always showed up. Dwight never left me. He always put the key in the door. He always answered the phone. So I might be around all these great people, but the one man I want to be like is that man. Because that man showed me that I can never let a kid down. And the problem with the world is that everybody let children down. McKims never let us down. Look at this, Dwight's still here. I started as a 13-year-old kid, I'm 55 years old. And who's let me in this door right now? Dwight. You want to change the world? Change the world with people like that and blueprints like this, and guess what? You won't have that problem because kids like me will learn how to love themselves. And we will love ourselves enough to realize that we don't have to sell drugs. Oh, man. I never wanted to sell drugs. I never wanted to be a bad person. I just wanted to be the person that McKims allowed me to be. I take so much pride. Even right now, I got a big bag of food in the back of my truck with all my students. Because I tell them, regardless of what, I'll never forget McKims. And my wife knows it, and my kids know it. And it's a great thing when I can let them know that that place right there, how many people can do that? How many people can go back to the place that gave them hope? Not many. How many people forget that? Not me. I'll never forget it. Because I can never repay it. And you know, that's what, so you want to know what McKims is? That's what McKims is. It builds people like me. It builds people like Muggsy Bogues. It builds people like Mike. I can go on and on. It builds people like men that still could show up here after recovering from what we all had to overcome, and we can come back and learn how to be men. I mean, I remember when I came home from jail, when Dwight allowed me to open up the center, and I found myself teaching the guys that I sold drugs with kids. How does that happen? That's God, man. I can't even tell you how I'm even here. It's God, you know, and God do remarkable things. But He give you let's call this the temple. It hasn't changed from anything that it used to be. I mean, it's still the same thing. Everything around it probably didn't change, but the love of this place is still the same way. It hasn't changed, none whatsoever. So, I mean, I'm forever grateful for McKims, and my goal and my mission is to show the world that if we can follow the role model of what Dwight has implanted in this center, let's bring back the new cultural arts. Let's take these type of programs and travel the world. Forget the dollar sign, because, come on, all what that man has given, you can't even begin to put a price tag on what he has given to us. You know, so sometimes things are priceless and timeless, and that's what McKims is. Sorry, man.
Beautiful.
Yeah. No
Yeah.
reason to say sorry.
Doing so well, yeah. Thank you.
Incredible.
So what are your hopes for your students now, for your youth that you're coaching?
I don't like the term coach. I mean, my hope is just that they don't ever have to go down the path that I went down. It's that simple. Learn how to be people. Just love. You know, just be whoever God created you to be. You know, who we are is God's gift to us. What we do with that gift is our gift back to God. Just, you know, live up to the gifts that God. They don't have to go through the hell that I went through. They don't have to be hard-headed like I was. You know, but even if they are, I think what I learned to do is love them like the white did for me, Kenneth did for me when I couldn't love myself. Keep going back to that, brother. I mean, it's that simple. You know, you gotta love those until they can love themselves. I even asked my karate instructor, I say, you know, after all the bad things I did, why haven't you given up on me? Because he said, every time I look in your eyes, I see the person God created, not the person that I see right now. Amen. And that's what the white see. Amen. That's what the white see. I mean, what sort of courage is it? That's a courageous man right there. To see past the things, the stealing, the drugs, the incarceration, and brother, anything that can happen to a kid in those streets happened to me other than putting a needle in my arm. But McKims never once judged me for it. It gave me a chance to now show my kids that I don't want you to be like me, I want you to be better than me. And any kid that I touch in this environment, come on, I grew up wanting to be like Bruce Lee. I got on TV, a TV show starring with Bruce Lee's daughter. You ain't gonna tell me there ain't a God? Come on, man. That's a God.
And would you like to speak a little bit about your personal stories with Muggsy Brown? With Muggsy?
Muggsy.
Yeah.
I mean, we grew up. I mean, it's like we played basketball on basketball court. He used to wrestle at the same time we wrestled over there. I mean, I don't think it's like so much of a mystical story, like, hey, you know, Muggsy. I mean, because even if we see each other today, we say hi, hello. I mean, that's the beauty in growing up in a culture like that. You know, we probably everybody probably behind. The one thing I can say, when everybody said Muggsy ain't gonna make it, I used to always say, yeah, man, don't be counting Muggsy out. You know, even though I didn't know that much about basketball, but you can see in his heart when he was on the basketball court, he just was determined. When you see him, you know, wrestle, he was determined. But I think the one thing that goes back to McKims, the white never made anybody better than anyone. He made sure that we all were the best. See, that's the problem with our society too. You can't have good around good and pushing good. See, the beautiful thing about McKims, it allowed us, even if you was on that day, that was good. You came back the next day, and then you probably got me. Nobody took it personal. It wasn't until the drugs and all this stuff came in the community that messed it up. But back then, man, you'd be on the basketball court, yeah, Muggsy, you know, he smashed people, do whatever. I mean, you knew that you didn't want to wrestle with him because he's for real. You know, him and a couple of guys in the city of Baltimore, nah, you ain't trying to wrestle with them, man. I don't care how little he is. That's the one thing people know, and that's what they forget. Wrestling and boxing on the street, if you ain't know that, you was in trouble. So what I was doing was like a foreign art, you know what I'm saying? But to get the respect, and them guys to respect me for doing what I do, that was a hell of an accomplishment, you know? So, because you had to learn, you had to know how to wrestle, you had to know how to box. But in East Baltimore, you had to wrestle. And you knew them guys were on wrestling teams. I mean, like, you know, Muggsy and all them guys, man, you sit there and it'd be like magic when they beating somebody up. Like, man, whoa. People just be yelling. And you just knew. I mean, and I know in the back of my mind, it's like, man, whew, I practice them kicks because when they come at me, couple times. I tell you a little story. I remember a guy by the name of Lumpy Joe. Lumpy Joe was a bad cat, man. When you was little, he used to always take your lunch money, man. He'd take, you know, quarters of dollars or something back there. So you go in the store, there go Lumpy Joe, taking your money, man. And everybody knew you ain't want to wrestle with Lump, because Lump would pick you up. Forget UFC. Come on, let's be real. I still tell you can do all that stuff in karate, but until you done fought on these streets of Baltimore, come on, man, you don't even, that's just sport. On these streets is a whole new different thing. And you would see Lump pick people up and slam their head on the edge of the concrete, or run their back to the edge of the corner. The last thing you wanted to do was fight Lump. Man, when I got my little techniques together, I remember one day we was in the neighborhood crap game. Lump came to me, boy, said, give me your money. You know, he tried to grab me, do something. I hit that little Bruce Lee move. I was scared as hell though. I'm like, ha! Wow! They was like, yo, he crazy. Yo, they know. That one moment, I had to wear my love. Look, you see this right there? I'm good now. But back then I was scared as hell, boy. I'm glad that my bluff wasn't called, man. But that was the joy of coming up in the city, man. And Muggsy Bogues was a part of those stories. I mean, he's a friend, man. You know his family are friends. I mean, it's much respect because that's how it was. Nobody, you know, I don't even think Muggs claimed to be the greatest basketball player from Baltimore, from the city. Because there was a lot of great guys that were discovered. I wouldn't claim to be the best martial artist from the city or the best flipper or whatever. I just was amongst the best. And I just believed in what I did enough, like Muggsy. And we all just stayed committed to our goal. And we had a support system that supported us. And the rest is, I wouldn't say history. I think the rest is in building a legacy so your kids, grandkids can have a better life than what you got. That's it. I wish I could tell you all that other stuff about my, it's just simple, man. You know, you know?
I know I coach, what's his name? The one who beat you up.
Oh, Lumpy Joe. Yeah, all of them come from
His
me.
name is Jerome Price or Joe Price. Y'all just call him Lumpy.
We just call him Lumpy Joe.
I was trying to remember his name. But anyhow, he came to my state.
Yeah, but all of them. Anybody that wrestling came from. I mean, anything from East Baltimore that dealt with that sort of activity with kids came from McCamm's. That's where it came from. I mean, there were other things that tried to come about, you know, even though you had, you know, the Lafayette Rec, but it wasn't like McCamm's. It was like, this is the place where people gathered, free lunches, summer jobs. You know, it was the hub of us just like socializing. And I think a little bit of, you know, Dwight he just had people around that supported the kids. You know, if you had a talent, somebody, who would ever do it to Lady Jack and knew how to sew uniforms? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I want to do my karate uniforms. Like, hey, I'll make them. And she's sitting there sewing up all these karate uniforms. I would go to tournaments and still to this day, like, man, ain't nobody had no uniforms like Bam. You know, but that was Jackie. That was like in this one little place. I was sewing on those sewing machines, man. I mean, she never asked for no money. You know, Kenneth, he didn't come here to teach karate. He had seen a bunch of kids flipping. You know what I'm saying? Flipping on pissy mattresses. And he took our talent and got it. And I think what's so funny is a book out there. It's called Who, How, and Why. And basically what it means is that you are the who. What is it that you want? What is your purpose? What is your why? Once you understand what your who and what your why is, you'll connect to people that can manifest that and be a team player. And as long as you get out the way and let them do their part, they become the great Chicago Bulls with a Dennis Rodman or a Steve Kerr. Remember, on those teams, you had people that they were just good at one thing. Look at, one thing. You knew what it was. That's what Dwight did. He sat back and he allowed every team member to be good at what they did. He didn't judge them. He didn't criticize them. He didn't put them down. I don't think anybody can come back and say, I mean, we're going to have struggles and disagreements, but I don't think anybody can come back and say, oh, he never let me express myself. He gave people a chance to express themselves. And what is the greatest thing that you can do for a kid? The problem in our society right now is that we don't allow children to express themselves. That's the conflict. When you can not be so insecure, and that took a lot of security from a man. He had to be sure about himself to be able to sit back and allow people to do that. You know what I'm saying? You got people, Muggsy, Bogues, I mean, even Skip Wiseman people that travel through here, man. He got the greatest people, the greatest athletes in the world coming through here. And he can house all of them. I hope I can be a man like that. I'm still working on that, because still some of us get to that point where we can't handle that. No, brother, I'm for real. You asked me to talk. I ain't going that's the truth. I mean, that's a real trait. And maybe the reason why it means so much, and it's good that you say that, because you don't do it for applause, you do it because it's who you are. That's what makes a good master. They say in martial arts, the real master is the one who don't claim to be a master. Those who claim to be a master are not masters. So he's a master. What do he do? Because he don't want it. He don't do it for the credit, the accolades, the money, or whatever. And that's what Simon Sinek talked about when he talks about the why. Your why, your purpose is that you'll get up and you'll do it without a pen. You'll do it. That's what makes him roll over at night. For whatever reason, they bring this here. He brings that here. So that's it, man. I go on and on, man. I mean, I thank you, Dwight. I mean, I never told you how much, and this is funny. I never told you how much we have talks and we didn't have things, but I just never told you how appreciative I am for believing in me and always being there for me, man. And I just want to say thank you. That's all.